really have a statement. I think you heard enough of me today. So I'll just open it up for questions, and we'll go from there.
You guys have a question, raise your hand, and I'll get the wireless mic to you.
That was quite a show you guys put on today. What did you want to do in terms of just sort of upping the ante in terms of showmanship and putting everything out there today for the signees?
Yeah, honestly, it's about those signees and their families, just helping them celebrate it. You know, the onboarding process for them and getting off on the right foot is critical. And we want this to be special. It is special. And I think when you see the smiles on those moms' faces and on those kids and everything that's poured into it and everything that they've been through in this process, it just helps it mean more, you know, to do something special like that. And then when you factor in that we had some pretty hefty donors in the room, we had deans in the room, we had professors, we had administrators, we had administrators from across campus. So, you know, it's just a really good way to celebrate and continue to build relationships and do something special at the end of a cycle of a lot of hours, a lot of investment by the families, the coaching staff, everybody. So, you know, I thought it went over very well. Mike Hazel, you know, he's kind of the production manager for that thing, and he did an outstanding job, best I've been around.
Did you take like a 5-hour energy or something like that? You didn't seem to dip at all in the 5.5 hours that you were on camera from start to finish.
I don't know. I felt like I dipped. I mean, you know, the staff kept me going, but it's hard. You know, every time I wanted to get a little bit tired, that next family would pop up there, and it's easy to get excited, you know, and you just know their story and how it got to this. And, you know, some of them had other head coaches sitting on the couch in their living room. Some of them, you know, you had a new head coach in the Big Ten, you know, celebrating, this is our first offer, a Virginia Tech commitment. And, you know, it went as far as, you know, guys had graphics about taking official visits to other places, which they never did. You know, so just a lot goes into it. And so it's easy to get excited when they jump on there and they're signed, sealed, and delivered.
Brent, I think 6 or 7 of your 25 high school signees today made their decisions in the last 2 weeks. To what do you attribute the late momentum and the ability to close with this class?
Yeah, I think there was some momentum building. These guys in this class that had been committed for a while really helped us recruit the rest of the guys, the rest of the class. Very involved. You know, there was a little bit of a Tennessee thing going on. Of course, the Richmond thing was going on, and momentum in the state. You know, I think we signed 12 again from the Commonwealth. And so there was some narrative, and that group that was committed for so long was very close, and a lot of talk. And, you know, we would communicate about, you know, hey, listen, what do you think about this guy? You played against him, you know him, you grew up in Pee Wee ball with him. And so, again, just a lot of relationships that, you know, were important in navigating, closing out those guys, making sure they were right for us, and then them getting excited about what was happening here. I kept hearing that narrative over and over, you know, because I always ask why. You know, you're going to decommit and you want to come here. Why? I don't want it to be about what you didn't get from the other school. What is it about Virginia Tech that you're excited about? Why do you want to be here? And I need to hear the right things. You know, they got to be here, want to be here for the right reasons. And a lot of like-minded young men in this class.
With the early signing period and the portal and presumably eventually bowl prep, is it too much to ask of a staff at this time to juggle all that? Does the recruiting calendar need to be adjusted at all?
It's a lot. You know, I think one piece that concerns me is that the transfer portal is open till January 18th. You know, it's just open too long. I understand maybe if there's, you know, championship games and bowl games and Yeah, but, you know, for us, it's just too long. I mean, you want really a 2-week window, and then when you think about it, we've got another 2 weeks, an additional 2 weeks at the end of spring that you have to manage. So you're constantly recruiting your roster. You know, all these guys are inked and you're ready to go. But the other piece of it, the other side of the coin is you're going to have players that early enroll, go through spring practice, and enter the portal on April 16th. Don't be shocked if you see that happen. Now, I don't see that happening here. Certainly don't want that to happen, but that is going to happen. And it's perfectly within the guidelines. Your one-time transfer rule, they enroll, they start in January, go in the portal April 20th, and they start summer school somewhere else. That's how ridiculous it is.
Do you like the early signing period, though?
I do like the early
You do?
signing period. I do. I think with us, you know, getting some official visits in the summer and things like that, you're able to do what you need to do. I mean, these relationships are forming in 10th and 11th grade with these families. You're getting more access to the recruits earlier than you used to. And there's so many guys that have their minds made up by now. Let's get it done.
We'll come right down the line. We'll go Tim, Aaron, and then Dave.
Coach, talking about the portal, you got your quarterback in Kyron Drones. What did you see in him that was the guy that you wanted at that position?
Yeah, really, just like Coach Bowen said, he's a triple threat guy. Really high football IQ, great wheels, and can spin it. You know, he's got all the attributes we were wanting. He was our number one guy on the board, and we had him set up. We had 4 quarterbacks in the portal set to visit, and, you know, kind of when you're looking for a quarterback in the portal, everybody else, you're kind of, there's 10, 12 schools that are recruiting the same guys, the schools that are looking for a guy. And, you know, we needed somebody to come in here and compete with Grant. We got to be better at that position. This guy's going to make Grant better. He's going to make us better. And, you know, we'll have a good look at things this spring.
And then you land Darian Varner today, the pass rusher from Temple. What did you see in him that you think can provide an upgrade to that room? Because I know down the stretch, pass rush was an area of weakness.
Yeah, we really like the way he rushes the quarterback. He's a twitchy guy, and particularly when he gets closer to the football, he was a problem for people. He's a homegrown guy. You know, like I said to him, his defensive coordinator at Maury, they went 15-0, and he was the heart and soul of their defense. He was a captain of their team. So he's got a lot of things going for him. He's been as heavy as 290. He's going to be plenty big enough. He's twitchy. He's strong. He's mature. He was a captain as a third-year player at Temple, which is impressive. So I feel like that was a really good get for us. We had multiple guys kind of check that box that we were recruiting, and he was really high on the list of wants. So it was nice to see that come home.
Brent,
And that didn't work out till last night, late last night.
you mentioned out there are 21 team captains in this group. I'm guessing that's not a coincidence, right? I mean, what about being a captain in high school or even at Temple makes a player even more attractive? I guess?
Yeah, I think the leadership and the maturity, whether it's the coaches or it's the peers or a combination of both, which a lot of times it is, that really says a lot. I think everybody understands captain qualities are winning qualities. You know, there's got to be talent with it, but when you got a good football player and he also has captain intangibles, I mean, that's good for us. You know, to me, that helps us move the needle that much quicker. You guys have heard me say the more maturity we put on the field, the better. And when you have a captain, generally that's one of your more mature guys on the team.
15 of the 29 guys from the Commonwealth. I know it's a big emphasis. What did you like about the way you guys got after it there, especially in the Richmond area?
Yeah, you know, again, it's infectious. And those guys all grew up playing peewee ball together and had relationships and wanted to do it together. That was important to us. And, you know, I think with Coach Johnson and Braylon Johnson and the connection here to Virginia Tech, and, you know, Braylon was highly recruited, had a lot of suitors, particularly down the stretch, and had a great senior year. You know, we had a lot of these guys committed before their senior year. And then they go have these really good campaigns, you know, in their last year, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, what about this guy? You know, Dante was that way, Caleb was that way, Cam was that way, Braylon was that way. We got him, you know, we got him in the boat early and had strong relationships. The staff did an outstanding job with not just the players, but the families as well, and the coaches. And so when people came calling, you know, we had other ACC head coaches sitting in the living room trying to convince these families to take visits. You know, we had a lot of things, obviously, with NIL today, a lot of opportunities for these guys that signed with us today, you know, to do some things that way. And, you know, so very fortunate, but those guys, you know, relationship they had early, and I think they appreciate. I think it's a trend right now. They appreciate we're trying to do this with guys from our footprint, and specifically guys from the state of Virginia. That doesn't mean we're not going to sign some guys from outside. We did, and we will. But an emphasis on homegrown talent. And those guys are going to, you know, they're going to know each other from tournaments and playing one another and growing up in Pee Wee ball and different things. And, you know, their parents especially have an appreciation for where Virginia Tech's been, and they understand what this program can be.
You mentioned Tennessee earlier a little bit. Obviously, you guys have coached at Vanderbilt, Memphis. A lot of Tennessee ties. I know Sean Quinn absolutely loves going to Tennessee.
Yeah, the barbecue.
Yeah. I know. What about Tennessee and this group of few players that you guys got from Tennessee is so special, so unique? What did you like about what you guys found there?
Yeah, you know, just since my time at Vanderbilt, the football in Nashville, it's always been pretty good in Murfreesboro, but Nashville's gotten better and better. East Tennessee's had a pretty good brand of ball. You know, again, when you talk about the footprint, you can get to Nashville in 6 hours by car. And that was important to me. I don't want to do more than that. You know, there has to be an exception, and the staff understands that. I mean, so, you know, we can reach out there. We're going to build relationships. Obviously, we can go back now, you know, with signing this group of guys from over there. And, you know, it starts with one. You know, Big Lance was the first commitment. And, you know, he knows some of these guys, and they know about Lance. And you got an offensive lineman that wins Mr. Tennessee football in his classification. You know, and that means a lot for a guy like Aiden, who's trying to make a decision and, you know, what these other guys are doing. So, you know, it's just a kind of a commonality, and all of a sudden it works out. I mean, I'm really happy about the guys we took from Tennessee. You know, Coach Marv's a Memphis guy and coached at Vanderbilt and played at Vanderbilt. Quinn's a Carson Newman guy, and of course I was at Memphis and Vanderbilt, and so we got a lot of relationships down there. It helps when you can go to an area and there's a young man you're interested in that you're getting to know, and you go down the road and there's a coach you've known for 20 years, and you can say, tell me about that guy. And he says, Coach, that's a heck of a ball player. I had him in an all-star game, or I coached him in camp, or I went to college with his mom and dad. And you know, those are the relationships that are meaningful, where you can get as much information about a guy to make sure you're taking the right kid, you know, that you're doing the right thing.
Steve, David, and then go to Zoom.
Coach, staying on the Commonwealths, how is the evolution with the relationships with the schools and coaches in the state compared to this time last year? How's that improved for you?
Yeah, I think this, you know, we came in here talking a big game about recruiting this state. And I think in this cycle, they understand we meant it. You know, we are fully invested and committed to being in these high schools, being at the playoff games. You know, I think I said to you guys during the season, I mean, after those Thursday night games, we were in high schools at 8 a.m., you know, both those Fridays in the state of Virginia. It means a lot to those guys. It backs up what we're saying. Signing their kids, you know, respecting the winning programs, the good programs across the state. You know, there's certain programs we want to take a guy out of every year. And, you know, so again, it's just a cycle of them seeing the investment that we're making in the state. And, you know, I think you look, I don't know what UVA did today, but we've got 24 guys the last 2 years just at the high school level, not counting about the 3 transfers. And I think when I looked at it last, sometime yesterday morning, it looked like UVA was going to sign 8 guys over the last 2 years from the Commonwealth. So, you know, the investment's real. It's there. And I believe we can win an ACC championship with this formula. You know, we just know more about these guys. And, you know, I tell the staff all the time, nobody can know more about the kids in Virginia than us. You know, we have to be there from 8th grade, 9th grade on, learning about these guys. And that's what happens down the stretch. There's always guys that have good senior years. And it's just late. You know, people aren't invested. They don't know. A guy pops up, but nobody really knows. They're not in there. You know, these guys that we signed late, guys that we even offered late, we were recruiting them for an extended period because of the type of senior year they were having.
And a little more specific, and you said a couple of your big transfers are from Tidewater area. That's so competitive in the ACC. Did that help with some momentum maybe leading on into the future years, or what? Is that part of a strategy or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the guys in the Tidewater across the state, they do get a greater emphasis, you know, in the recruitment process. I mean, it means more to me, and it's going to mean more to them. You know, that doesn't mean that we're not excited about a guy from Tennessee, excited about a guy from South Carolina. But the emphasis is on the Commonwealth. So, you know, I think it's pretty easy to see that Virginia Tech has a super strong brand across the state, you know, from one end to the other. And so when these guys start talking about Virginia Tech, man, there's a lot of narrative. There's a lot of folks in their community that are like, heck yeah, you know, go play for Virginia Tech and help them get it back going.
How many of today's additions do you expect to be here in January?
We've got 11 early enrollees at the high school level, and then right now the 4 transfer guys, which, you know, we're not done there yet. We've got a couple more we're still recruiting. We've got a couple official visits set up with some guys, you know, some transfer guys for that first weekend in January. You're allowed to officially visit transfers that are spring semester enrollees. So anybody that's in the portal that is planning on enrolling in January, you get an official visit weekend, that first weekend in January. We've got 3 guys on the docket right now. We still have a couple of needs we're trying to fill.
What are those needs?
Yeah, we'd like to get a bona fide pass rusher off the edge, a proven guy that can win more one-on-one battles. Obviously, we hope our guys, I think they'll continue to develop, the young guys in our program. But at the same time, we have to be better in that area. And then we're out there, you know, we're looking for possibly a running back to come in and compete with Malachi and Chance and those guys and make that room better. And, you know, and then we're still in the market for an offensive lineman if it's the right one. You know, a guy that can come in and impact the room. You know, and we're still, you know, we signed a ton of good DBs, but there's a little bit of a gap between the old guys and this group. So, you know, a guy that could supply some depth and come in and be a rotational guy and give us a chance to develop this young group. The one thing about the 4 corners that were committed for a long time with us, none of those guys are early enrollees. They're all summer guys. You know, now Copman, who just jumped in as an early enrollee. Mose Phillips is an early enrollee. So that helps. But Thomas Williams, Braylon, Dante, and Cam are all summer guys. So, you know, if we find the right guy, we got a couple of those guys set up that can come in and help supply some depth for Mansour, Dorian, Stroman, and Nasir to kind of bridge that. I think that's important.
We've got time for 2 or 3 on Zoom.
On Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to ask questions, and we'll start with Gage from Mass Live.
Hey, Coach. Just, I guess, looking from one Commonwealth to another up to Massachusetts with Will Watson III from Springfield. I know his commitment came a bit later in the game, but he's going to be a Hokie. How did he get on your coaching staff's radar, and what are you looking forward to most from him once he comes down to Blacksburg?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of your question.
Will Watson III coming down from Springfield Central High School, the quarterback. Just what are you looking forward to most from him when he comes down to Blacksburg next month?
Yeah, you threw me when you said Will, because we certainly know
Sorry,
him
Pop Watson,
as
yeah,
Pop.
right.
Yeah. You know, we couldn't be more excited about this guy. You look at that film, anybody that watches it, you're going to get excited. And then his charisma and his personality, he's a coach's son. He's got so much going for him. He's a dynamic quarterback with a ton of good traits. And, you know, so we're excited. You know, he's going to get down here and be here in the spring. He'll get 15 practices, him and Dylan Whitkey both, you know, to compete with Chiron. And that quarterback room's going to look a little different right out the gate come January 18th.
We got time for two more. We'll start with Eric, please.
Hey, Coach, it's actually Brooke today on Eric's Zoom. You touched on recruiting the state of Virginia. I'm curious, you had 4 guys who were directly in our DMA who may have grown up going to Virginia Tech games, watching the Hokies. What intrigued you about those 4 and specifically recruiting this DMA in Southwest Virginia?
Yeah, obviously that's the heart and soul of Virginia Tech is Southwest Virginia. And to me, these guys get what Virginia Tech's all about more than anybody. And they grow up. Everybody knows what it's like down here on a Hokie home game and what Lane Stadium looks like. So a lot of these guys did grow up going to games, and it was their dream to come to Virginia Tech. And, you know, one of the most heartwarming stories was Marcel and that first offer and what it meant to him. And he said there on my couch, it was a dream. His mom's crying. He literally slid off the couch onto the floor, you know, just shook with emotion. And that's what you get, these guys that grow up around this place. And you know, we're here to witness what Coach Beamer and his staff did, you know, year after year after year. And Virginia Tech was, you know, that was a household name, you know, for so many folks down here.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations on the day.
Thank you.
Last question on Zoom. We'll go to Evan, please.
Yeah, I wanted to continue on the quarterback. Obviously, it's always ideal to get one. Recruiting 2 at the same time has to be difficult. What was it like getting Pop Watson to come along with Dylan Whitkey and then adding a transfer quarterback at the same time? How was that dynamic to juggle?
Yeah, I appreciate you recognizing that. It's not easy. I thought it was tough when we got Jason and Grant last year at the same time. But now we did a 3rd guy in the mix. So, again, it's about being transparent and open and honest and having conversations ahead of time. And this is why we're making this decision. You know, and we want to reach out and make sure you hear it from us first. And, you know, this is what's behind it. And I'm not going to say there wasn't concerns and there wasn't conversations that had to be had. But, you know, most times you can work through those things, and we're able to do that with those guys. And, you know, you want guys that want to compete. I don't want somebody that's afraid of competition. And these guys we're recruiting, that's an important trait that we're always looking for.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
That's it. All right, thanks, guys. Been a long day, man. Go get that power nap.